Welcome to X-Files Podcast, a podcast about breakups, broken hearts, and moving on. I'm Janice Formicella, a breakup coach passionate about supporting others to heal from their breakups, overcome loneliness, love being single, and see the end of a relationship as the beginning of a magical new chapter in life. I am here each week to share with you the tools that I have learned through my own painful breakups, through hitting rock bottom more than once, and through working with people all around the world to heal their broken hearts. If you are looking for hope and strength to move on from your breakup and resources to enjoy your new single life, you are in the right place, and I've got your back. Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to X-Files. Hooray. I'm so thankful for everyone who's here today and everyone who has been following the transition that I've been going through with, putting on the podcast in a brand new way. I have been really enjoying having a few of my friends on to act as co-host. And today, one of my closest friends is on, and she is someone who will also be appearing as a regular co-host. And that is Christine Lalonde. Hello, my dear.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever.
I'm so glad that you are here. When I first decided that I was going to continue on X-Files on quote unquote my own, I keep on catching myself saying that because I'm definitely not on my own. I've hired someone on the team who's amazing. Shout out to Abby. Thank you. And, I have good friends who are coming on and supporting me. So, but anyways, when I first decided I was going to carry on in this capacity, a few people came to mind as far as who could come on a regular basis and talk to me, or talk to the audience, rather. That was kind of silly. And you were one of the people. And that is because you have really inspiring stories about overcoming divorce, overcoming some pretty, abuse, overcoming anger issues. And I'm really looking forward to hearing about your story. It's so inspiring. And I know that anger is something that doesn't really get recognized in a healthy way in America. Mm-hmm. And I think it's something people struggle with. And I think it's something that people have a lot of shame around, probably especially women.
Yeah, I agree. I know that I do, even now I still do.
Well, I hope that telling your story is therapeutic and healing, because I really, really, really think that more people need to hear people talking about it. And I have, a couple stories that I am going to share in today's episode that I don't think I've shared on the podcast before. And that is because it definitely wasn't me in my finest moment. And I want people to know that even coaches and people who support others overcoming things have made mistakes and, done things they're not really thrilled about. And so thank you for being brave and coming on to chat with me about anger and breakups.
Well, we're all human. We have to realize that we all make mistakes and we all do things that we can't always control. We can do our best, but, we do what we got to do sometimes.
Yeah. And also, I think one thing that you and I have in common is wanting to learn from our mistakes. And I mean, your story, especially in regards to the topic of anger, is just the perfect example of that. So, but before we get started, because this is your first time on the show and you're doing some really cool stuff, why don't you first tell us who you are, what you do, and a little bit about your own podcast?
Great, thank you. Well, my name is Christine, to all you listening, and I live in Los Angeles, and I'm a producer and a director, and I do films, documentaries, docuseries, unscripted series for television. So that's my passion, and that's what I do mainly. But I also have a podcast called 50 Shades of Bullshit, and it's about finding love, finding yourself, and talking about dating and how to heal and moving on and all kinds of fun stuff. And we talk, a lot about what is going on in a normal adult life.
Yep. So just so everyone knows, I appear as a regular co-host on 50 Shades of Bullshit. And so we're now going to be regular co-hosts on each other's shows. Yeah. And it is every Thursday night, 4:00 PST, that's 6:00 EST. Right?
Yeah.
And it's cool. It's an hour long. You can watch live. You can watch it later on YouTube or Facebook. And, we've talked about lots of cool stuff. Last week, we talked about pleasure as your birthright. Tonight, we are talking about Gen Z dating.
Yes. We have two really incredible young men coming on the show to ask questions and to really learn about how to date and how to get over breakups, which is great.
We have occasionally had some people come on to just ask Christine and I dating questions. If that interests you, definitely hit me up in the DMs. Christine would love that. We're always looking for cool people to come on. And I will also just give a plug for the other project that Christine and I work on together. And that is a regular Wednesday night clubhouse room.
Yeah.
And that's also it's dating Q&A. We've got an amazing panel of 6 to 8 coaches, personalities, matchmakers who come on each week. And it is a blast. Please, if you'd like more info on that, also hit me up. So today we are here to talk about anger and breakups. And as I said earlier, the reason why I wanted to do this episode and my intention with this episode is to try and destigmatize anger, to try and help people who feel shame around anger, to help people who have processed anger in maybe an unhealthy way in the past, to be inspired and to know that anger is human. I think anger is a natural reaction in a shitty breakup. And, you can use it as a portal for lots of self-discovery, but only if you know how and only if people talk about it more. I know I've had clients who have expressed anger to me who have backtracked and said, oh, I know I shouldn't feel this way, but, I do. And I always stop people and say, why shouldn't you feel this way from what you've just described? I'd be angry too. So
I think people are afraid to talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think men are almost encouraged to process it in an unhealthy way in America. And women are encouraged to not even be angry. So let's talk about it. I want to remind everybody about my theory about the stages of breakup grief. And those are devastation, denial, realization, release, and acceptance. And if you'd like to take kind of a deep dive and learn more about how I came up with this theory, please go to episode 103 of X-Files. And my theory as far as anger goes is that it appears in the third stage, which is realization. And this is the stage where many people, not all, I always want to say breakups are different for everybody. So I think a lot of people will relate to this, but not everybody. But this is the stage in the breakup where you're over the initial shock of the fact that this has happened. And now you're able to look back on the relationship and start to see it for what it was. And that can look like thinking to yourself, thinking to others that they were kind of shit to me. I think sometimes when we're first going through a breakup, we just feel so much pain that we're losing the person that we don't look at it objectively. You might think to yourself, I don't know why I didn't end things sooner. I've thought that. I ignored so many red flags. They actually weren't that good for me, or we weren't good for each other. And I'm glad it ended. And I'm really pissed at what they did to me.
Yeah, I think that's the healing stage. I think once we get to the point where we think, oh, I didn't see the red flags and I see how bad they were for me, that's when we are starting to heal.
Yeah, that's a really good point. But I also think that maybe anger can be a part of that process.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because I do think you need to be glad that it ended in order to heal for a lot of people, maybe not everybody. So when you're in the realization stage, some people are going to feel anger. Some people might just be filled with regret, depression. But I think if you're angry, sometimes we push it down and sometimes it shows up in really, scary ways or unhealthy ways, or I don't know. I think sometimes also anger can turn into depression if you don't have anyone to talk to about it or don't have a way to express it.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
So I wanted to have us each share just maybe a brief, actually, no, it doesn't have to be brief. Let's share, some of our own experiences with breakups and anger. So I started my journey to be a breakup coach way back when I got divorced, like 12 years ago. And so I will say that anger is something that I have learned to process because of being really aware of the fact that I wanted to be a breakup coach. And so I had to learn how to do it. But that was partially because of experiencing it and not always dealing with it in a healthy way. And I mean, one example will be, as a lot of you will know, after I got officially divorced, I rekindled things with my ex. I mean, talk about bad life decisions. I want to be honest, I'm not going to be one of those gurus or experts who's out there saying, we should live with no regrets, because I absolutely do regret it. And I want people to know it's human to have regrets. I think if we say we don't have regrets, that means you wouldn't have done something different. And if I had it to do over, I would. It wasn't healthy for me at all. And he was really unkind to me. And it just ended up being, I think sometimes when you get back together with someone, it's worse each time.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and that's true.
And that's why I'm always encouraging people, if you've broken up, as hard as it might be, just stay broken up.
Right.
I mean, look, there's exceptions to every rule, but just generally it tends to get worse and worse. And that was the case with us. And not only was it just not working, he was just so, like I said, just so unkind and just was not the same person I knew for sure. And when we broke up, I took decided we weren't going to continue on. I don't know what you would call it. Shit show for sure. Yeah. And I took every opportunity that I could to take jabs at him and angry emails. We had issues. He was nasty to me. He started playing all these games with the alimony. And so we actually had to have contact, even if there was third party involved. And just any time that we had any interaction, I would just go out of my way to, take jabs at him, make him know, how much he had hurt me. And it was because I had this anger just bubbling up inside of me and I had no idea what to do with it. Yeah. I had kept the fact that we were seeing each other secret from a lot of people. And so I had no outlet for it whatsoever. And I had some really unhealthy coping mechanisms to get over it, which I don't know that I am going to mention now, but I'm just I can understand feeling anger after a breakup. What about you?
Yeah. Just as a quick, when I'm breaking up or being broken up with in just a normal relationship that was maybe, 3 months, 6 months, year or less, when I'm angry with those, I'm more hurt, I'm more disappointed, I'm more angry that I feel used, or why couldn't he have talked to me and why did he say all these things, I think my real thing that I've really experienced that was hardcore was my divorce. And I'd been married before and divorced, and that was amicable. We both happily. And then I got remarried and we had a child together, and now I have 3 kids. And he decided to, the relationship wasn't great. He was emotionally and, mentally abusive, verbally abusive, in the way that he would constantly put me down, constantly treat me bad. And it was just progressively getting worse. And he had an affair. Long story short, when we got a divorce, I was pissed. I was so mad because this was my life. This was it for me. I didn't want to get married again. I didn't want to get divorced again. I had 3 children. I loved him, even though I could look back and see how horrible he was to me and how destructive the relationship was and how bad I was in the relationship too by striking back at him. I don't want to play the victim. Yes, he did treat me pretty bad. And I really think that his goal was to try to get me to self-destruct, gaslighting me and doing a lot of things that I could have harmed myself in ways because I felt like I needed to. That was not great. I get that, but I struck back out at him too. And I think it was because I was pissed that he was pushing me. And so I struck back out. Now, when I got a divorce, it made me feel like that my life had just blown up and I had no control. And it just made me so mad that I had no control over it. And I felt like my life was taken away. He had actually had an affair and started living with her after our breakup. And then he married her. And I felt like somebody else was living my life. And then they had a son.
Oh, I actually didn't know that. This sounds painful.
It was extremely painful because nothing against having my 3 daughters. I really love them all and they're all wonderful, but I was meant to be a mom to a boy. I mean, it was my whole thing. And I really, really wanted a son. And when he left and I knew this was my last time that I was having children, and then he went off and had a child with another woman who gave him that son, and it wasn't me. I was beyond devastated. I was mad as hell, and it was just horrible, this bubbling anger that was inside of me all the time. And like you said, there was nasty emails, there were nasty texts. It was back and forth. He said horrible things to me, so I struck out at him, and it just was bad.
Yeah. And I mean, nothing that you can say, no jab that you can take does really anything when you're that angry at someone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I found all the texts and emails that I had saved because I wanted to keep them for court, because he really was giving me a hell of a time about child custody. He didn't want to pay child support. He wanted to take my kid from me. He had friends write letters saying that they witnessed me abusing my kids, which was not true.
I'm sure.
It was hell. It was a nightmare. I was living a nightmare. And I had saved all of that because, I needed it for court to show that he was being abusive and that he was doing this on purpose. And I recently looked back at all that and I thought, oh God, that was all so toxic. And all I did was just delete it.
Oh, good. Did everyone just hear that? That's great. Did you find any sense of relief or when you did that, or did you feel indifferent?
No, it felt good to just be able to go, oh, that doesn't serve me. Yes. This doesn't serve me anymore. And, to this day, my daughter's 15. I still co-parent with him. It is not easy. He makes it difficult at every turn. I choose to ignore. Now, up until a year ago, I did not choose to ignore, and I was constantly feeling like I was on the defense. But now I choose to let it go. I choose to take a breath. I choose to just laugh it off and say, it's bouncing off of me now. It doesn't serve me. So if it doesn't serve me in a positive way, then I'm just going to walk away from it. Now, I tell him all the time, if it doesn't have anything to do with our daughter, then I'm not listening. I'm not responding. Have the day you deserve. That's how I feel.
Oh, I love it. And everyone, Christine there's more to the story. And, as far as her decision to be really intentional about being reactive, that I'm really excited to share. And, as far as breakups go, that sounds like a doozy.
Yeah,
I mean, that has all of the worst elements that you can think of in a breakup. And I'm so sorry. And I'm also, I want everyone to know, you've gone on to have a great life, lots of amazing experiences, good friends, good sex, great projects, and, you can overcome it.
Yeah. I try to say I'm not a survivor anymore. I'm a thriver because I don't want to be the victim. I don't want to be, something to be pitied. I want to be looked at as victorious and as a thriver. So I think that's important to me.
I kind of go back and forth. I like the word survivor because it does, there's a connotation with abuse, and I do want people to know that I did, survive a, very violent situation. But I survived and thrive. I'm a survivor thriver.
I think that I just have to say really quick. I think that a lot of people think surviving it means they've got to stay in that feeling and stay in that survival mode. And I like to think that when we start to really evolve and grow is when we stop going, okay, I survived, but I'm no longer the survivor. I'm the thriver. I'm the person moving forward. This sits here with honor because I did it, but then I'm moving forward to a better life.
Well, what's interesting is I am part of a local here in Denver ex-Mormon community. We meet up every month and support each other. And it is part of a national umbrella nonprofit called Thrive.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And that's a great example because, lots of people who leave religion, especially Mormonism, stay stuck for a little while. And then eventually, if you allow yourself to, you thrive after you throw it off. So thank you for what you've shared already. And what I want everyone to take from both of our stories is it's normal and natural to be angry. In fact, I want to go through really quick. It's actually a human evolutionary emotion that's here to teach us things and to protect us. Correct. So I found an article. It's called, in a Good Therapy article that I will link for those who want to see it. And it's called The Value of Anger, 16 Reasons It's Good to Get Angry. And in it, Moshe Ratson lists the following reasons why we experience anger and how it can benefit us, including, I love this one, it is designed to promote survival. So, it's our fight response often. So it is there so that we can defend ourselves from an enemy or danger. And anger is embedded in our primitive need to live and protect ourselves against aggression.
Nice.
So I think that's important to remember. We've evolved to the point where we have rational thought as humans. And I think it's our responsibility to figure out how to process and deal with anger, but don't push it down.
Yeah, it makes it worse.
Yes.
You'll have other issues, if not mental health, but personal, physical health. It really causes a lot of problems.
Yes. And in fact, for me, all I wanted to do was avoid my angry feelings. And for me, sex was one of the ways I self-medicated, and getting into relationships was one way I self-medicated. And it's one reason I actually ended up with my abuser less than a year later.
Wow. Okay. Did you live my life?
Oh my God, everybody. Christine and I have so much in common, and we will continue to talk about that as we do more episodes together. Yeah, so more reasons. I mean, and look, I love that we're both so blonde as well. And we're wearing black.
I always wear black.
Oh, okay. I always wear this when I record for some reason. I think I don't know, something, I find it flattering. So a few more reasons anger is important. Its discharge is calming. This is a big one. When you are angry, you experience physical and emotional pain. When you experience physical and emotional distress, anger strongly motivates you to do something about it. As such, anger helps you cope with the stress by first discharging the tension in your body. And by doing so, it calms your nerves. That's why you may have an angry reaction and then feel calm afterward. So, and this is why I think actually your story is so important, is because it is so calming sometimes to have an angry outburst. And it can also be very destructive. And so that's why I think anger management is so important, is because there's other ways to release anger other than being crazy. You know, I was also, I had a lot of gaslighting in my marriage, like textbook gaslighting, and also the silent treatment. I can't believe how good my ex was at just completely ignoring when I was in the room. He was a jerk about it too. He'd be like, and like act like I wasn't there.
That fires me up too. It's like, why are you ignoring me?
And one day I got home from work and I went in there and I was like, we have to talk about this. And he did that. He was just, even if now that I'm thinking about it, I'm still feeling, I still feel triggered to this day because it was just so mean. And he wouldn't talk to me and wouldn't talk to me. And I broke a wine glass. And you know, I just want everyone to know, I mean, this was many, many years ago. We're talking, you know, like I said, 12, 13 years ago. But I didn't know what to do with it, you know, and I was so angry and I did feel better after, but today I would have dealt with that in a healthier way.
Well, you know, that's taught you growth.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure.
You can't know that you can handle things better or differently if you don't have something that you're growing from.
Yes. And you know what? I'm proud because, God, anyone who knows me, I think, is always shocked when I tell that story, because I would never do something like that. And I have been in very triggering situations since then, especially, you know, living in Australia and having some shit go down. And I've never done anything close to that since. But, you know, at the time, felt a lot better after.
You know, you can't be the incredible woman that you are today if you haven't learned from something from your past. I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, we either grow with it or change and evolve, or we sit within that destructiveness and remain the same person. So a lot of people do. Yeah, absolutely. You are incredible.
Oh, thank you. More reasons that anger is so important. This is perhaps my favorite one, and one that I think really applies to breakups and to our listeners, is anger makes us aware of injustice. Anger serves as an internal guidance system that indicates something is not quite right. Someone has treated us unjustly or unfairly. Anger protects our values and beliefs, and this is what Christine was just saying. Anger can lead to self-improvement. For instance, if one knows certain things make them angry, they can work on these triggers to improve their response to them. And by doing so, improve the quality of their life and relationships.
Yeah, I agree. That's awesome.
I love it. So like we said, even though it's evolutionary, we are not equipped with the tools to process it. Many of us are taught that anger is something to avoid, and that ignoring feelings of anger is the more evolved way to go.
Yeah, that's horrible. Yeah, bubbles up and festers inside of you. I mean, it has to go somewhere. It can't just dissolve inside, or it's going to mentally destroy something inside your brain. It's going to hurt you in some way when you oppress it. So it's got to come out, whether, you know, I obviously don't advocate, you know, being destructive or whatever, but if that needs to be, then go to one of those places that you crash and bang and destroy things, you know.
Punching bags as well. I've had clients who have done punching. What do you call boxing?
Boxing, punching.
Done punching.
I took kickboxing and boxing, and that it really helped, me.
So for me, I think it's, everyone learns what works for them. For me, I love to work out, but that would just do nothing for me. It just doesn't sound like enjoyable at all. But I'm, a writer. And that's how I release my anger toward people. In fact, a lot of people know, I have lots of family issues. And the other day I was going through some of my files in my Google Drive, and I came across a letter that I'd written to my parents a year ago or so. I mean, this is something that, is a constant thing for people, anger comes up, but this is how I processed it in the moment. And I was like, damn, girl, like it was hard for me to read. It was, so just explicit and very angry. But
did
certainly,
you keep it or did you send it?
Oh, good. No. Oh, no. Okay. Thank you for pointing that out. I did not send it. No. But it definitely was a big release for me. I have thought about sending them something, but it wouldn't be this type of email. It would be much more to the point.
Gotcha. I didn't grow up with my real father. I'd only seen him 3 times in my life, very briefly. And, when I was, this is about 17 years ago, we were starting to reconnect, and I thought, you know what, I've never had the opportunity to tell him what it did to me. So I wrote a letter to him, and it wasn't mean. It wasn't angry. It just was stating the facts, stating how I felt. Yeah. And I was trying to, go to another level with him. I sent it to him, and within a couple of weeks, he died.
Oh my God.
And the family found it and completely attacked me. And you know what? I lived with that guilt for a long time. And then I thought, wait a minute. No, this is where him and I were. He needed to know what his lack of being a father did to me in my life. If he had died without me being able to express that would have been even worse.
I think so. And I think, that's a really good example of the importance of putting your own needs always first. Mm-hmm. And I'm really glad that you did that. I'm sorry that you felt shame, but you're absolutely right. I think that could have, really stayed with you for many years, not having had the chance to voice what that meant to you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it was really good. It was good for us.
Oh, that's devastating. Thank you for sharing. Let's talk about what holding down anger or suppressing anger, avoiding it, denying it can lead to. As we said earlier, it can lead to your resentment boiling over and causing an unproductive outburst. This can come up in your future relationships. And so I want everybody, if you're dealing with anger over your current breakup, take a look at that and really learn from it and learn how to deal with it in a healthy way, because no one wants to be with an angry partner.
I went through that. I started dating after we got a divorce. And we were together about 6 months when he broke up with me, and we really had a great relationship, and I was baffled. And when he finally spoke to me and finally he stopped ignoring me and told me, I just said, look, I'm not trying to get back with you. I just want to know what happened so that it helps me grow. And he said, you're angry all the time.
Oh my God. And
I said, did I treat you with anger? He goes, no, you didn't treat me angry. You just were angry. And I thought, holy crap, he is right. I am pissed still from my divorce. So yeah.
Wow. And I think that you've mentioned to me that it came up in your role as a parent as well.
Yeah. I realized at that time, he had said to me, you're always angry with your kids. You're always angry with your life, your job, me. Not so much that you're giving it to me, you're just showing it to me. And I said, well, I feel safe with you. I feel like, I can express myself to you. And I realized that, not everybody can take toxic. And I was being toxic. And I was, yelling at my kids and short fused and constantly just being mad. And yeah, that was not a happy moment for me to realize that I was a terrible person.
No, and to have somebody who you really desired companionship with be the one to point it out to you was probably very confronting.
It was fine though, because it made me stop and think, okay, what do I need to do? Because I can't keep doing this, and I don't want to be mad at my kids. It's not their fault. And obviously it's not a future spouse or boyfriend's fault. And how can I fix this? Because the common denominator is me, and being pissed off is me. So how can I fix this?
Oh, and we're going to get to the meat, the juice of this story in just one moment. And I just want to really quickly read through my list, of things that could have happened to Christine and that can happen to you if you don't learn how to process your anger. And that besides angry outbursts, ruining future relationships, ostracizing people, it can also weaken your immune system. Mm-hmm. It can lead to depression and anxiety. It can lead to difficulty sleeping. It increases your risk for strokes, heart attack, high blood pressure, skin problems, digestive issues, and unexplained physical pain.
Yeah, I can add one to you, very, very prominent. It led to my emotional eating problems.
Oh, wow.
I suppressed all of that with eating things that, made me gain weight. And then I felt dissatisfied with myself. And then I turned all that anger towards me. And yeah, it's not good.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. I guess self-medicating, that's a great example. Mm-hmm. So Christine, you've been so brave already to share so much about your story. I know it's going to help people. I would love if you wouldn't mind, letting us know how you kind of tackled this once and for all.
Well, really briefly to give a backstory, I actually can relate to you because I am an ex-Mormon as well.
Yeah, everyone, did you hear that? It's just a coincidence that we met through the dating industry space, and Christine used to be LDS too.
I was a convert, and the man I chose to marry in the church, his family guilted me for being a convert, and there was a lot of issues there. And when I got my divorce from that, it just was toxic and horrifying and shameful. And I didn't want to have another divorce, but then I wound up divorcing again and then getting remarried again. And it just, problem was that I was constantly staying within the same place. And so I was attracting the same abusive men. And I was getting therapy after therapy after therapy. And I realized that it wasn't working for me. Talking about my problems just perpetuated the problem. It just constantly left me in this cycle of going around and around and around, and self-pity and self-wallowing and, oh, poor me, woe is me. It just, that didn't work for me. Therapy wasn't working for me. So when I got this last divorce and I realized I was so angry, I thought, okay, wait, what can I do? Therapy just is not working for me.
That's amazing. It's so insightful and self-reflective.
Thank you. And I thought, wait, okay, what's my problem? A lot of things were my problem, but mainly I was angry, and I needed to get past the anger to self-reflect and find out what my other issues were that I needed to fix and work on and take care of me and my children. And anger, that's all I could think about. And then I thought, wait a minute, there's this thing called anger management. And it shouldn't be a shameful thing. It shouldn't be one of those things that we see in TVs and movies where they sit around in a circle. And
that's what I was picturing.
They're forced to go there from the courts because they're assholes and they're, angry and hurting people. I was hurting people in a different way, not physically, but, by just being angry at everything and myself, I was destroying relationships. So my thought was, okay, anger management, let's do this. So I looked it up. I found a guy who had private sessions. It's just like therapy, but it's dealing with the situation. It's not just freaking talking about it.
Yeah.
It's dealing with it. And I need steps to do things, not just hear about what the problem is and why there's a problem. I know there's a problem. I know why there's a problem. I needed to have steps to move forward. And anger management gave me tools and steps to get past it and to deal with it and move forward so that I could get past that red fog of anger. And when I got through it, then I could say, okay, I'm attracting the same kind of men for these reasons. What can I? So
I think it's so cool.
Thank you.
I just thought of this, but if you wouldn't mind sharing for, people out there who it might be useful for, though that's obvious. I think I'm going to probably cut that. Christine, what is anger management as far as what it looks like? How long did you go? Did he give you things to work on? How does it work, for someone who might, want to go and sign up or look it up? How did you find this person? Just tell us everything.
I Googled anger management class. And what I did is I just thought, okay, what can I do? So I found anger management people and I called them and said, do you have private sessions? And they said, yes. And cool. I said, great. I'm not being forced to go. And this isn't a court mandated thing. This is a personal thing. I need to get past my anger. And they were like, oh my God, that is a huge step. That is a huge step, accepting that, and I always say that my marriage wasn't a failure just because of him. I was 50% of that. I made choices. I chose him. I chose to allow him to get to me. I chose these things. So I needed to choose my healing. And so I went to this guy and I sat down with him and he said, we could hash out your past and I'm sure you've done that. I said 1,000,000 times, I don't, want to go there. He says, let's just focus on what anger is, why you have it. And not so much why you have it, but how you can get through it, because I'm sure why you have it is right there. And I said, yes. So I went a handful of times. You go as long as you need to go. It's not something that it's like forever and ever, unless you want to go. But each time I went, he gave me a new tool.
Oh, that's neat.
And
I love that too.
Yeah,
for me,
we focused on that.
That's cool. I mean, I love practical tools, and that's one of the things that, I'm most dedicated to with X-Files. And what I'm telling listeners all the time is like, these are things you can actually do. So I love that. Thank you for sharing. I just Googled myself, anger management Denver, and a lot of things came up. I would have never thought that. So if you don't mind, can you share maybe 2 or 3 or your favorite tips and tools that you learned for not overcoming anger, but dealing with anger?
Dealing with it. Yeah. When they say count to 10, I kind of tweaked that in my own way. Counting to 10 didn't really help me. Counting to 10 just made me think about all the 10 freaking reasons I was mad. And I was like,
10 seconds to get even angrier.
Yeah, yes, it was 10 seconds for getting angrier for me. And that's a big tool for them, and that's fine. It might work for somebody, but it didn't work for me. So I took it in my own way and I changed it. It was 5 seconds of breathing deeply, 10 seconds of holding it, 5 seconds of release. So as I took a breath in, all I could think about was counting to 5 and then counting to 10.
Holding your breath for 10 seconds. I mean, you've got to pretty much just focus on that.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then 5 seconds of slow release. And that gave me a moment. Now there's another step that I have to combine with that. So step 2 for me was when I'm doing this, not stay tight and tense. Ooh. It's shoulders back, like a release of the body, like loosen up. So it's like 5. And then as I'm counting to 10 with the holding of the breath, it was also 10 seconds of not only hold, but letting it go from my head and work down through my body in a relax, and then 5 release. And, when you're in the heat of the moment, you don't want to stop. And so, wait, hold on. I got to count to 20, 5 seconds in, 10 seconds hold, 10, blah, blah, blah. You don't want to do that. But sometimes you just have to turn and take the person out of your eyesight. Just turn for a second and go, hold on, I need to get my shit together and do this. Another thing that I learned, not in anger management, but on my journey of anger management, was that when you everybody has a third eye right here.
Okay. And Christine is pointing right above the middle of her eyebrows.
Yep. Right. So you have a third eye that runs up your forehead from between your eyes. And that can be really triggered when you are angry. And the way to release is by touching, pushing, and almost pulling up, and it's like a stress relief. It's like a what's that called when you
a pressure point?
Yeah, thank you. When you pressure point your thumb when you have a headache and you pinch, this is the most real. It will take everything in your body and completely relax you. And people don't really know this, so I kind of incorporate that into my my control of my anger. I have to walk away. Like my oldest daughter and I got into it this last few days. It was
I mean, look, I'm glad you're mentioning this, and this is why I mentioned my own ongoing issues with my family. Is even though we have done so much work, we're humans interacting with other humans, and shit happens.
I felt that I was getting really angry, and all I was doing was bickering back and forth with her, and it wasn't helpful. So I just removed myself from the situation. I just said, okay, I need to walk away right now. I just need a moment to chill out. And I walked away. I went away and I did my breathing on my own. And I tried to do this pressure point in my third eye on my forehead. And it just let me breathe. And it no longer made the situation escalate. Now, she's still not talking to me.
I know. We talked about it the other day, and
I'm not holding on to that though. Yeah. I've let it go. It's her time. She needs to deal with her own anger issue. She'll come back when she's over it, and that's fine. I have to let other people deal with their things on their own time. It's not about me. Okay, I dealt with me. I handled me. There's nobody else responsible for me but me. And now I got to let her do her thing, and she'll come back on her own time. So that's the best I can do.
That is such good parenting, adult advice. I guess parenting of adult children advice.
Oof, that's not
let
easy.
Them do things on their own time. I mean, I have no personal experience, but as someone who wished that my parents took advice as far as, parenting adult children. That's awesome. So thank you so much for sharing. Oh, go ahead.
Can I suggest something really quick? You can cut this out if you want. Yeah. But looking back on my life as a mother, I really wish I'd known these tools when my children were little, so that because little kids get angry because they don't know how to express themselves. They don't know how to communicate properly. The words aren't there as they're growing, and they start to learn to express anger, and people just go, temper tantrums or spank their bottom or stick them in a corner or give them a timeout. They're not teaching them the tool of how to work through it and release it. If I had the opportunity to go back into the past, people say, what would you do if you could go back into the past and change something? I would teach myself to stand in front of my child, squat in front of my child, and just say, honey, I know you're mad. Let's breathe through it. And then teach them to take a breath, teach them to hold their breath, teach them to release the breath, teach them to self-massage their head, teach them to do something to say, it's okay to be mad. It's okay to be upset about something. Let's breathe through it. Let's not be so explosive about it. Let's find another way to talk about what's upsetting you. if I'd had that opportunity, my relationship, I think, would be different with each one of my kids. And, I'm at fault for not knowing those things, but then I also feel like my parents are at fault for not teaching me that. Society is at fault for not showing that anger is normal and it just needs to be learned to be dealt with in a healthy way.
Yes, thank you for sharing. I also want to say, though, I think sometimes people get into their 30s, 40s, 50s and have no desire to change or improve themselves whatsoever. And so I think that it's perhaps equally valuable for your daughters to see how dedicated you are to constantly improving yourself and working on this, because we can always improve ourselves, and we can always be self-reflective and learn how to show up better for ourselves and others. Adults need to see other adults doing that.
That's never too late.
Yes,
to make
absolutely.
A change.
We do have lots of listeners with younger children, though, and so I think what you said just now is teaching emotional regulation, stress regulation to children is invaluable. And I do think lots of kids would like the third eye thing. That would probably resonate with lots of children and teens.
Mm-hmm. I saw this thing a long time ago. This is where I learned it. I saw this thing where this baby was like really crying and stressed. It was a tiny little baby, and this parent just turned them on the inside and just went like this. Wow. And as they did it, it completely calmed the child down. And I thought, oh gosh, that's my third eye. Maybe I need to massage that. And it makes a huge difference. I know it sounds wackadoodle, but it works.
No, I think some people in the audience will be familiar with, kind of the trend of baby massage and, some of the cute social media videos that there are out there of babies either having their head massaged while in the bath or babies getting massages, and how it does calm them down and how cute it is. So
it is.
I think that's fantastic. So those were super, super practical tools. I hope, we actually have lots of listeners that listen with notepads and paper and take notes. And I hope that, maybe rewind a couple minutes and make sure that you got those tips down, because that's something that you can apply today. I also have, as a breakup coach, identified a few things that I think are helpful for this stage of a breakup. And first, journaling. If boxing doesn't resonate with you, running, I also can't really run when I'm mad. I'd run when I'm in a good mood. Get out your journal.
I clean when I'm mad.
Oh, girl, I didn't realize that, but I'm a big cleaner, and I do think that that's one time, definitely that I'll clean just because. But get out. So clean, but also get out your journal, and you can write down all of the reasons you're mad. I did this recently regarding someone I was dating, and just make a list, write a letter. That has worked well for me as well. I don't think when you're in the heat of the moment that there's any good that can come of sending the letter that you write. I think this is for you. And like I've often said, you might be amazed at how much you can release through just writing an angry letter to someone. Mm-hmm. Talking with a coach or counselor. What was that?
That you don't send.
Yeah. I mean, there's ramifications for sending something when you're really in the heat of the moment as far as your anger goes. But, if you feel maybe that you need to talk to this person, maybe come back a couple days later, look at what you wrote, and then, make an outline. Yeah. I'm a writer, so I always use an outline, and then be very constructive and non-emotional about what you decide that you need to say to this person. If it's an ex, though, I will say, just leave it. Okay. Your ex doesn't need to know how you feel. My listeners know I'm big on, this is your time to decide how you feel, and really not your ex. Yeah. I think that getting out of the house can help with releasing anger, and also just generally dealing with regret in this stage of a breakup. Making future plans can be really good to process and get out of the, why did I do that stage, or they're so horrible stage. Because I think when we stay at home or when we are in the same environment, talking to the same people, we just cycle sometimes. And so instead of doing that, get out, and make plans. Setting goals. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I make a suggestion for when people do move on after they've dealt with this, after a breakup?
That you're the co-host. Go for it.
Well, here's my thoughts. Eventually, you won't be just broken up. Eventually, you will find another partner. And if you are dealing with anger before you get into the relationship, you also have to realize that it's not that you're never going to feel anger again. It's how you deal with it. And with a new partner, they don't know how you're going to deal with it. So I think making a list of what you have to do to deal with your anger and what you are requiring from your partner to help you deal with it, or a fight or whatever, is very helpful, because when you know what those steps are, you can communicate those steps. So I'm in a new relationship, and I found that I got mad at this person several times already. And I found myself doing my thing and him not realizing what I was doing, and I had to communicate that with him.
Oh, interesting.
And then I also communicated how he can help me not be so angry in the moment. And my list was, just don't fire back at me, take a second, and physical touch is my love language. So physically touch me. Mm-hmm. Put your hand on my arm or on my shoulder or on my cheek, or just pull me in for a hug and breathe with me. And I said it, and I said, if you can't do those things, if in the moment you're just as pissed off as me and you cannot do those things, please don't just walk away.
Oh,
because
okay.
Walk awaying triggers me. Mm-hmm. It's dismissing me in my mind. It's saying what I feel is not valid, that you don't care, and you're walking away. You know, maybe look at me and say, look, right now I'm too upset. My need to deal with this is to not be in this situation anymore. Give me a minute. I need 5 minutes to clear my head. Yeah. I'm not going away. I'm coming back. Mm-hmm. So those were my communication skills with my current new situation, and it has helped.
I think that's great. I think that's probably something that I could do better with. I think the opportunity would be maybe the first time that you're having a disagreement with someone in a new relationship, after things settle down. And, maybe after you have the makeup sex, you can then have a conversation, what are we going to do as a couple next time?
Yeah, I actually know who I am. I know that I have trigger points still. And I know that when I get in a relationship, because for me, passion fuels my anger with situations, because if I'm super passionate about something, I get more aggressive about it. And I know
I'd say that's true about you.
Yeah, I get super amped, and I know this about myself. So I told my current partner in advance, I get super excitable about something that I'm passionate about, and it could express itself in many ways. So please know that when you see me starting to get amped, it may not just be anger, it just might be excitement. And it could look like something like that. So I gave him those tools before we even had our first fight.
All right. So I communicated that's being very proactive. I like that. I'm trying to think how it applies to me, but it's completely different. But and this is all about just having conversations, which is another really good thing in a new relationship, is that you do need to learn how to talk about pretty much everything, and seeing how someone responds to this specific conversation might be very telling. And not just how they respond, but how they follow through and how it gets executed the next time you actually do have an argument. Because people can say anything, but if they don't keep their word, that's different.
Exactly. That'll tell you something when you get in your first fight. Did they do what they say they were going to do? And is there is there a lack of understanding within themselves? Are they just saying what you want to hear, or are they actually able to implement that?
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people communicate about, sex, relationship values, kids and marriage, but they don't stop and go, okay, everybody gets angry. We're going to have a fight eventually. How are we going to handle it? How do you express anger? How do you deal with anger?
Yeah. That could even be a fun conversation. It doesn't need to be too serious, but I think that could be quite lighthearted.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's vital too. I mean, everybody has arguments, and thank you so much for sharing that. Food for thought for sure. I'm going to be thinking about that all day long. I will say, in 2 of my relationships, my thing is, if someone tells me to shut up, I can't think. And I had told two people that, and they did. They told me to shut up, and it was very heartbreaking. But then, I've had also dated people where I told them that, and they didn't. So, Christine, let's talk about forgiveness. You might have noticed, and the audience may have noticed, that I haven't said anything about forgiveness so far as processing anger goes. And that's because I am a little different. I have a different perspective on forgiveness than a lot of people do. And I think it's a much, much, much more complex issue than, especially in America, we make it out. I have a belief, as a person who has lived a complex life and as a person who works closely with people to overcome broken hearts, that forgiveness means something to each person, and that some people benefit from forgiving or saying they have forgiven, and some people don't. So do you have any opinions on forgiveness, or has forgiveness played a role in your ability to let go of anger? What do you think?
Yeah. For me, forgiveness isn't for me to forgive another person. It's forgiving myself.
Yeah.
I have to forgive myself for being in either the situation, or for choosing that person, or for being in a place that I allowed this situation to happen. I give forgiveness to myself.
Yeah.
And then I can move on. The other person doesn't necessarily need my forgiveness or deserve my forgiveness. It has nothing to do with the other person for me. It has to do with my inner self. I forgive myself for feeling this feeling. I forgive myself for reacting this way. I forgive myself for accepting this person in my life. Some things are out of my control. I forgive myself for just thinking that I wasn't, the master of my own destiny. But it's not for the other person, for me.
Yeah, that's a lot how I feel about it. Please, everyone, go check out episode 87 of X-Files to hear more about the role of forgiveness in breakups. I'm glad that you said what you said about self-forgiveness, because, I've always said I don't forgive my abuser. But what was much more important to me was to get out of the cycle that a lot of people actually, reinforced of blaming myself. And I was angry and ashamed that I had gone back so many times. And that is what kept me stuck. And once I was able to release that and forgive myself is when I moved on.
Yeah.
And you're going to love this, because I just recorded an episode with Jackie on self-forgiveness and breakups.
I'm going to have to check that one out. I think I missed that one.
So we just recorded that yesterday. So everybody, if you're listening to this, it will be the episode right before this one. And forgiving yourself can open so many possibilities for growth and can really set the foundation for the rest of your life. So please go and listen to that episode.
Yeah. So for me, just so you know, I grew up in abuse. So therefore, abuse perpetuated itself in my relationships because I normalized abuse in my head. Hearing through religion that you needed to forgive, and everybody kept saying, "Oh, you have to forgive these people." That never really resonated with me. I was all like, "Why do I have to forgive an abuser? Somebody who chose to be a bad, horrible, disgusting person." That's when I realized that, wait a minute, forgiveness is for me.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree so much. And I also, what I talk about in episode 87 is another problem with putting so much responsibility on the person who's been harmed to forgive is that it's such an abstract concept. People don't even really know what it means. You ask someone what it means to forgive, you ask 10 people, you're going to get 10 answers. And so, yeah, I do think it's more about, your own journey and not what you can give the person who's harmed you.
Yeah.
So Christine, I loved doing our first episode together. You
too.
are so brave to share this publicly. I hope that people really paid attention. And if you are struggling, just know that this is something you can overcome. Being self-reflective is the first step. So if you're listening to this right now, that's amazing. And that shows that you have a great capacity for growth and for overcoming, anger and your breakup and more. Do you have any final thoughts before we go?
Sometimes I'm full of thoughts. Sometimes I'm not.
We have talked a lot. So I want to mention, and I'll let you think about that for a second. I want to mention to everybody, if you are trying to overcome anger and use it as, a portal for self-discovery and better relationships, or to overcome your breakup, please keep an eye on the X-Files feed, because I am going to drop an affirmations track on affirmations for overcoming anger that you can download and use on your journey. So please pay attention to the feed. That should be right underneath this episode.
Okay, here's my thought. Thank you for giving me a moment. Be gentle with yourself. Just be gentle. Don't expect yourself to get it immediately. Don't expect yourself to be perfect. Just be gentle. Yeah. Nobody else is going to self-care for you the way that you can self-care for yourself. And being ashamed and disappointed in yourself is normal, but let it go. Does it serve you? Just keep in mind, does it serve you? If something starts to make you amped up, stop and think, does it serve me though? I mean, is it really going to be important? Am I going to be over this in an hour? Am I going to be over this in a week? Is this going to mean something to me in a month? Probably not. So it's about letting go, breathing through it, and just be gentle with yourself.
Amazing last words. And if you want one-on-one support with your breakup, you know where to find me. And if you have overcome anger or other challenges after a breakup and you would like to share your story with the X-Files audience, please DM me on Instagram or send me an email at xfilespodcast@gmail.com. And until then, I will see you next week. Actually, there's probably going to be a bonus episode on Thursday on sex if anyone's interested. So keep your eyes on this space. We'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to X-Files Podcast. I sincerely hope that you found today's episode inspirational or useful. I would love to support you on your healing journey. All you have to do is send me a message through the X-Files Instagram account, and I will personally be in touch to get you started. Remember, if you are struggling with a broken heart, your feelings are temporary. I am sending you so much love and luck for the week ahead. You've got this.